Pittsburgh.
Oh, there we go.
Waiting for modern synthesis.
Okay. Hello everyone. YouTube says we're live, so apparently we're live. Let's check out with our friends in YouTube land if our audio is an absolute mess or not this evening. Shit, what have I done? Oh man. Sorry, I'm trying. Okay, hi. I'm Modern Synthesis, otherwise known as Mr. Pink, and me being completely lost for words is how you know that you're tuning into Work in Progress Wednesday, which is the second most bullshittiest stream about hobby on the interwebs. And I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts DarthBob. Want to say hello, DarthBob?
Hello, everyone. Long time no see.
And Will K, otherwise known as TacticalDbag. Want to say hello, TacticalDbag?
Hello.
And though Kajan normally joins us on Wednesday night streams, he is feeling under the weather. I'm sorry, Kajan. I hope you feel better soon. But we are lucky to be joined by the one, the only Dwarfenage. It's an orphanage for dwarves. Are you there, buddy, or are you eating?
Yes.
He might be eating. He'll be back. Yeah, so this is the Work in Progress Wednesday stream. If you've not been here before, I'm surprised you're tuning in. This is me being disparaging. Yeah, we just basically talk hobby and work on stuff on this stream. And sorry it started a little late. I took my whole studio with me. Well, not. I took large parts of my studio with me to a cottage for the last week. And we did a stream from there for the Creature Conference last Friday. And I had not yet reassembled my studio. So I had to do that before we started. So thanks, everyone, for your patience. Hopefully everything works again.
We can
So
only hope.
what has... We can only hope. So what has everyone been working on this week? Will, what have you been working on this week in terms of hobby?
I finished up my reshaped psychophage last week, and I think I posted it up on Instagram. And now I'm finally working in my Screamer Killer, which is the last big model from my Leviathan kit that I've been, trying to actually put together finally.
Oh wait, you already did your Neurotyrant. I
I
can't picture it right now. I'll have to go look it up.
Oh, I didn't really do anything crazy with it. Pretty much the only thing I did was replace the like little claw hands with some venom throat arms, and like just accentuated the amount of tentacliness.
Wait. Oh. Sorry, still trying to reassemble studio. Well, I think that's a vote of confidence in how good the Neurotyrant is, because I think a lot of people are, well, some people are definitely converting them, but a lot of people are assembling it stock because it's a beautiful model.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. It's also got like great bits. I'm definitely like, I have a second Leviathan kit that I managed to get on the kind of cheap from somebody who, just wanted the marine half, and I have some ideas and plans for using the bits, but those are gonna probably be way into the future.
Why do you say way into the future?
Oh, I'm
too much on the go now.
Yeah, I've definitely got way. Like I'm also sort of. I guess my brain's still in a little bit of standby mode because I'm kind of waiting for all the new stuff.
Oh right.
So,
okay.
Yeah, it's just kind of, I think, overwhelmed by things that I want to work on, but like I want to get my hands on stuff before like I really do stuff, and it also gives me, time to finish up these things that I've been working on that, I've just been kind of slacking on.
Oh, don't worry, I got lots of that going on. Cool. Thanks. DarthBob, what have you been working on in the last week?
Well, in the last week, I really haven't been working on much because I'm still kind of in a recovery state from the road trip. So, kind of still just settling in at home, taking care of, haven't been home for almost 3 weeks. So, taking care of like, housework stuff and all that good stuff. But right now, I'm working on. I did get my Leviathan box like right before I left for the road trip, so I didn't really have any time.
Yeah.
didn't really have any time to actually enjoy it and like take a look at it, but I did.
Yeah.
I did open it up, and I saw these carapace. I don't know how my focus is. Let me pull up my thing. I had this
This
got
is,
the
yeah.
carapace bits from the
This,
Neurotyrant, and I saw
yeah.
this bit, and I got a kind of neat idea for it. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Sorry, I'm just breaking things over here. Sweet. What do you think you're gonna do for it? Is it gonna be a surprise?
It's kind of gonna be a surprise. It's another weird. It's gonna be another stuff in the vein of the Wendigo, where it's gonna be like
Yeah.
another weird Tyranid mutant thing.
Okay. Nice. Dwarfenage, are you back yet? I'll ask what Dwarfenage has been working on. Maybe not back yet. I can talk about myself. I haven't. I'm trying to think, like, because I was talking on the stream on Friday. Since that, I guess since then I did like a cheeky little Instagram live video, which Dwarfenage was there for most of. It was just random. I was working on some models in the middle of the day on a Saturday, and I was like, hey, what the heck? I'm just gonna like literally blue tack my phone, my light, and see what happens. So that's what we did, and on that stream, I worked on these cheeky little buggers.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I guess that was on Friday. I did that one. Wait. Yeah, it's a video on my Instagram if you want to go check it out. It's I don't know that it's great viewing because it's like 2 hours long and it's just me randomly talking about how I'm mourning the death of Twitter for part of it, and then giving random sculpting tips throughout. Like it's just peppered. Probably long portions of me just sitting there sculpting, and then other portions of yeah. Go ahead.
To your credit, that's like basically the stream. So.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Yeah,
well, like at least there's conversation. It's not just me talking to myself, which is what that was. But oh well. Yeah, so I was able to make these are barricades for Kill Team. I guess anyone who was on the stream on Friday night, I started doing this one, I think, on Friday night. But in Kill Team, you get these like here's the template. You get these like certain shaped Imperial barricade things that each person can deploy 2 of them at the beginning of the game. And being someone who always wants to make more Tyranid terrain and never really has a good reason for it, I decided to try and make Tyranid barricades. So some little Tyranid terrain. So yeah, these 2 are it's meant to be the interiors, the backs of the plate, and then this one is meant to be the exterior. I started an exterior on this one, but I wasn't super. I thought it was dumb to start here. I'm going to start here and here. Then I'm going to do a ridge like this down the middle of this one here. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how they're turning out. The inside started off as very like spinal columns because everyone knows I love spinal columns. But then I did the straight ones first, and I'm like, oh, they're a little boring. And then I did these like connecting ones in between, and I like the curves of them. So then when I came back to it, I did this one, and I tried to introduce like more curved structures because I thought it made it look more interesting, and it reminds me a little more of something xenomorphy, which is fun. I did kind of like a BS spinal column in the middle here, which I'm not thrilled about. I might resculpt that, but we'll see.
So nice thing about green stuff is you can always just rip it off and do it again.
Yeah, I was talking to Eric Odinson. I don't know if Eric's here tonight. I think he's on the Discord. He's also one of my patrons, and he was talking about how he's starting on a Evangelion Hive Tyrant.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, yes,
yeah, I saw that
every day, all day. And he was like, oh man, I'm worried about screwing it up. Like, do you ever get like that feeling? You're like worried about screwing something up? And I said exactly what you said. I'm like, well, it's green stuff, so if it's crap, you can easily cut it off. And if you cut something away that you like, you can easily add it back with green stuff.
Yep.
And then maybe you'll have a happy little accident happen, and something that you thought was terrible actually winds up being cool.
Yep.
Yeah. That's pretty much how I'm feeling right now as I'm infilling this Screamer Killer. I'm like, I'm going to mess this up. But then,
yeah,
sometimes it kind of works out. I'm like, I'm not going to have to do it today.
See, I'm more worried about that with the painting. just because it's happened to me so many
Yeah,
times.
we've talked about that before. Is it your primer, man?
It's not the
Is it your
primer. It's that.
brushes?
It's
Like,
that I'm a dummy and I try new things on models that I
oh,
actually
like
care about.
enamel and crap?
Yeah, instead of
No, you
testing
got to
it
get some
first.
gaunts for that,
Yep,
man.
yep. It's my fault.
That's what those Leviathan gaunts are for. That's why you got 20, 40 of them.
No, that's what my
Yeah.
100-some gaunts from like my 100-some
Yes.
old gaunts are
Yes.
for.
Yeah, I've got a drawer full. I've got like 6 or 8 or 10 old gaunts just like sitting in my airbrush drawer. Just like, I want to try out a scheme. I'm going to slap it on a gaunt. So when I developed my Kroot scheme, I actually developed it on some shitty old gaunts.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then when I was figuring out my modified new scheme for High Fleet Angerboda, that was just like I grabbed some of those shitty old gaunts and I went to Games Workshop on the weekend that contrast paints were released. And I just started grabbing the ones that looked like what I wanted to use and started slapping them on the Prime Termagants. And I think I also attached a Hive Tyrant head, no, a Carnifex head to base.
Mm-hmm.
I tried that out, and yeah, it was helpful.
Yeah, Carnifex heads are a good color scheme.
We got tons of those.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, just because I realize I'm making a terrible mistake. For all you newer hobbyists out there, safety 101. Do not carve resin models without wetting it first. Because I got resin
Wetting
dust. Yeah, I got resin dust all over my desk now because I didn't wet my tools first.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah,
I don't know that I did that.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a paper towel to clean this up.
When I was making the Dominid 3 Tyrannid Dominatrix, I think I fully sawed that thing without a respirator on. That's not so great.
That's not great.
Yeah, wear a respirator or minimally at least use wet sanding technique.
Okay, well, I will keep that in mind because I am due for another one. Flynnhammer has cajoled me into making a Dominid for him.
Oh no.
We don't know. He's got an ambitious timeline of 2 years. He's got an understanding timeline of 2 years.
A bit ambitious, and this is no knock, Mr. Pig, but 2 years.
That's not ambitious. That's not ambitious. No. Yeah, okay. I chose the wrong word.
So is this thing just gonna be like based off of like? Is it just gonna be based off of like a giant model?
You keep telling me you're in no hurry, man.
No, I'm not.
It's gonna be based off of
you a hard
what?
time.
Like a giant?
Yeah.
Like a GW.
A giant.
GW giant.
Oh, because it's Flynnhammer.
Yeah.
Oh, good joke. No. It's gonna be based off of Forge World Herodule. That's why I need to know about this sanding stuff so that I don't poison myself again. Yeah, it's gonna be a Herodule. But it's not gonna. It's gonna be like in the style of the one I did for High Fleet Moloch 1,000 years ago, back in like 2007, maybe 8. When I did it for him, I was living in that apartment, so it was definitely before 2008-9, so like 6-7. Yeah, so I did that for Moloch. That's the one that what is that place? The Imaginarium copied like last year.
Oh.
Put the big weird flaccid gun on top. What are they called?
Oh, Den of Imagination.
There we go. The Imaginarium. Yeah, they copied my thing. It wasn't credited until I like reached out and was like, "Hey," and they were like, "Oh, the guy just gave us a picture. We had no idea." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So yeah, they copied my 2007. Well, someone asked them to remake my 2007 Tyrannid Dominatrix that I made for High Fleet Moloch. They did a pretty good job until it came to the gun. And
yeah,
I'm not thrilled with the gun they used.
They kind of phoned it in at the end there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some random guns attached. I don't know. The body shape was good. They did a good job on the body shape, but other than that.
Wait, are you gonna?
So yeah, it's gonna be in that style.
Color scheme was a little questionable too.
Are you gonna wait on the new Biovore kits and like the sweet like Biovore Pyrovore guns to use on?
Yeah, this is one of the things that Flynn was stipulating that he was in no rush to get it started because he wanted to see like what Tyrannid kits came out before
committing
before we made the start. And good thing we did because we want to use all kinds of bits from the next wave of Tyrannids. Like, yes, the Biovore gun is definitely up there.
Speaking of which, I never really
Sweet
I
gun.
never really got to share my thoughts on the new way.
You know, I was just wondering that. I was wondering if we had gotten you on this because you were away through all this madness.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
okay,
I
good.
was like I don't remember where I was when it was first.
Grand Canyon or something.
Yeah.
Oh wait, do you remember where you were when you saw the pictures?
What day did it come out? I could tell you.
It was a Saturday.
It's a Saturday.
15th, I think. Something like that.
I might have been, if it was the 15th, I might have been in Seattle. I think I was in Seattle. Yeah, I would have been in Seattle. Either Seattle or the Hoh Rainforest, one of the two.
The Hoh Rainforest. That sounds cool.
Yeah, it's in northern Washington in Olympia State Park.
Oh man, I love temperate rainforests. They're cool.
Yeah, I've never been to a rainforest before, so it was a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, we have one in British Columbia that I've been to.
Oh, cool.
Around Tofino, Ucluelet.
But yeah, that being said, shoot, I'm trying to remember what all was released. I know we got the new Hormagaunts. The new Hormagaunts, fantastic. I mean, not really much to say for them. It's, they're as good an update as you could have hoped for. I mean, they're fantastic. I love how long their tails are. They're very velociraptor-y.
Yeah.
Gene Stealers, I'm so thankful we finally got new Gene Stealers. The Gene Stealers have always been one of my favorite Tyranids, so I'm really happy to see them get an update. My only little disappointment is with how much of this new range is harkening back to old school stuff. I kind of wish we would have gotten the like old style Gene Stealer back carapace with the 3 openings going down the back like they did on the overkill ones. At least if they had like mix and matched them, I kind of wish they would have had that. But otherwise, they're awesome. I love that there is enough tentacle heads for the full
boy
squad. That is awesome.
Agreed.
Yes, just all of my yes.
About bloody time.
The oh, what else came out? The Biovore, and the Pyrovore.
Pyrovore.
I'm gonna be honest. I am not the biggest fan. I like them.
You're Team Hater.
Yeah, I'm Team Hater mostly. I think there's some good bits there. They're too insect for me. I like my Tyranids to have more of a good balance of like reptilian xenomorph insect look, and these just lean, I think, a little too hard into insect. It was kind of one of my biggest criticisms of the Psychophage as well. I just don't like how it was just like straight up space bug.
Two bug. Yeah,
like
I can feel that.
I saw somebody do a Photoshop with the Ash Waste Nomads on the Biovore, and I thought, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was Kabluski or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that looked a lot more fitting. To me, it looks more like one of those. It looks more like a model you would convert into a Tyranid rather than a Tyranid.
Oh, interesting.
So that was probably my least favorite of the release. What else is there? Oh, the big guy, the Norn Emissary and the
Assimilator.
The Assimilator. The Norn Emissary is phenomenal. I love everything about it.
Okay.
The Assimilator kind of just feels like, hey guys, we have room on the sprue. Let's make a second thing to go in the box. It kind of feels a little tacked on. I like conceptually the harpoon arms. However, I think when we were doing our initial concept for the Red Dragon, and we had thought about like the Lictor style harpoon kind of thing to drag the prey in.
Sorry, thought about it. I'm still thinking about it.
Well, yeah, but
we throw that out.
Well, we have them as shoulder mounted rather than as separate arms.
Yeah, true.
I think.
Oh yeah, you had talked about like a cage sort of thing to like ensnare prey or something, which was interesting.
So I think something more like that would have better like fulfilled that concept. I just think it looks like we wanted to add some extra bits to make a new beastie in the box in addition to the Norn Emissary. It's okay. I'm not a big fan of it. I definitely think the Emissary is the big draw of that kit.
Yeah.
What else was there?
The lictors.
Lictors.
I was trying to think if there was anything other than the lictor. I'm going to make.
Hold on. Is there anything else? That we did the gaunts. You didn't talk about termagants.
Yeah, just
the
the
termagants. I mean, termagants obviously they're great. I love that they brought the spike rifle and the strangle web back. Even if the strangle web does look a little questionable in terms of like horse anatomy.
Phallic.
I'm not sure that's a ranged weapon, is what I'm saying. But it's great that they brought them back. I mean, that's the first time they've gotten the model since 2nd edition, and the first time they've had rules for them.
To be fair, wasn't the wasn't the Strangleweb always a little eggplant shaped?
That's
as dirty
that
as
is
we are
true.
now.
That is true.
We were young and young and innocent.
Not to the extent that, and again, I think part of it is the paint job, the studio paint job.
That is very true.
Right. It's very skin color. Yeah, good point.
Which again, it's like that the current studio Pyroforge. Like, why'd you pick these colors, guys? You had so many choices. And
why did you put throbbing veins in?
So yeah, the termagants are great. I think it's great that they brought the old weapons back. As for the lictor, I've had some time to think about this, and I'm going to make a bold claim. A hot take.
Here we go.
I think the lictor
by 1,000.
I think the lictor is the best Tyranid model they've ever made.
Whoa!
I think
quite the hot take. Best Tyranid model ever made.
I think that I don't think any previous release has properly portrayed the artwork the way that model does. Like the Carnifex is great. Yep. It's a legendary kit, of course, but I
wait, plastic Carnifex.
The plastic Carnifex.
The artwork was like
it's a legendary kit.
Pretty close,
but... It's great.
Yeah,
but it doesn't live up to the artwork as well as the lictor does. I think like not only is this the best lictor they've released, I think it's the best Tyranid model released. I think it's phenomenal.
Wow. That is something.
And the I forgot about the Neurolictor. The Neurolictor is also great. I do think the posing is a little odd, but I also think that's partially due to photography. I don't think they photographed it at its golden angle.
Right. It's probably got some awkward angles.
Yeah. So I like the Neurolictor a lot. Overall, I'm very impressed with just the Tyranid releases across this range refresh in general. A couple small missteps in my opinion, like the Psychophage and the Biovores and the Barb Gaunts, but nothing that can't be fixed with a little green stuff and elbow grease.
Can do attitude.
Cool. You didn't mention Deathleaper. I guess we talked about Deathleaper.
Oh yeah, Deathleaper is also great. I like him a lot. I appreciate that
Flesh Capes are okay.
I am team Flesh Capes are okay. It reminds me of a Vampire Squid a bit.
Ooh, nice.
I appreciate that it looks like almost a different organism than just a normal lictor. Like the old Deathleaper basically was just a lictor with slightly bigger claws and three eyes on each side. I like that this looks like a distinctly different organism.
Nice. Awesome. Thanks, dude. Yeah, glad we got your takes on those. I feel like it's just been like a constant chain of like, let's catch up with Creature Conference people, what they think about new Tyranids, because last Friday Hydra still hadn't weighed in on them because he was on vacation when we did that Saturday stream.
Speaking
so
of,
it was good to get his reads. Yeah, go ahead. Oh yeah. Actually, Dwarfinish, can you go through the chat a little bit?
I've already been going through. I've got notes.
Oh, with us though, let us know.
Oh yeah, no, it's cool.
Okay, speaking
I'm on
of...
it. Okay, anyway, speaking of Hydra, could you give us some details about what Hydra said about his opinion on the Neurolictor, besides that it was his favorite model, if you remember it all?
Yeah, because I was streaming from the cottage, and the stream quality was not great. and I got overly confident. At first I was like, this might not work, and I'm like, oh, this is working just great, and then it died right at the end.
Oh
So
no.
I'm sorry about that. Oh god, I don't fully. Oh shit! Did I just shove my finger in what I just? Oh Jesus.
Oh no.
I don't remember. I think that he's. Oh, okay. So one thing I remember, he commented on the tail, and how the tail very much looks like it could just be like a snake creature without legs, and that might be a cool thing to explore. I think. I can't remember if it was the Biovore or the Lictor. He said for one of them that it would make like a great monster and just like any
He said that for the Biovore.
agnostic. Oh, okay, whoops. So it wasn't for the. He said, oh, he had a moment on stream where he hadn't really realized that it had a weird head tentacle coming out the back of its head until he was on stream, which was interesting. Can't remember exactly what he said about it, whether he liked it or disliked it. But he did say that the Neurolictor was his favorite model of the entire Ugram release preview thing.
Cool.
Or no, did he say it was like this whole Tyranid refresh? He might have said it was his favorite model. So
oh wow,
he's got a lot of love for that Neurolictor. Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh wow.
I also like it a lot, but I mean, I'm not as much of a. I like Tyranids, but I'm not as much of a Tyranid guy as like you guys are. I just think it's a really great model with a lot of like really good bits. DarthBob, could you elaborate on why you like the Northern Emissary so much? Like, what is it about it that you really like?
So it kind of evokes everything I've always wanted in like a really big Tyranid. I've always kind of wanted there to be, we have like the Hierophant and we have the Hierodules, and they're always kind of like these more hunched over, or they don't really evoke that kind of giant leader beast vibe that something like a Hive Tyrant does. So I've always wanted something that was kind of more just like a giant souped up super mega Hive Tyrant. And this really evokes that for me. It's got a bit of Alien Queen going on. I love the giant.
I would say it's got a lot of Alien Queen going on.
It's got like the giant pillars of like those capillary or not capillary, like the spore vents going up the back. I love how big and oversized the spore vents are. My favorite little detail on it though are its giant gangly hands. I love because it just gives it this. To me, when you give a model kind of, or a Tyranid model, these kind of larger human hands, it really, I think, lends a degree of almost intelligence to the creature. It makes it look more uncannily aware. That's why I've always preferred that the lictors have like rending claws rather than scything talons on the underarms, and why I'm not as big a fan of the Von Ryan's Leapers having two sets of scything talons. I prefer the hand look on more intelligent Tyranids, because I think it lends itself to more humanoid characteristics, which we associate with being human. And I like the extra joints in the scything talons as well. I like that it has those kind of extra joints, just like the Parasite of Mortrex did on its scything talons, or its the weird claw things. I wish it was a little bigger after we've seen pictures of it next to the Wraith Lord. Yeah, I wish it was more Wraith Knight sized, but I really like.
It's funny. A lot of people were like, "Oh my god, that's a Wraith Knight." It's like, no, dude, you need to know your Xenos models better. That's not a Wraith.
Yeah, that is a Wraith Lord. I want to convert this thing into a Swarm Lord.
Yeah, it's got to happen.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to do with it.
It's got to happen.
So in the chat, M. Not David agrees with you, DarthBob. They also are not really all that hyped about how bug-like the Biovores are. Besides that, there's a little bit of commentary about giving the Screamer Killer a more tentacly head and what bits would be best for that, with many agreeing that it was the Psychophage. And Blitz is back from vacation. We have a lot of our friends back in the chat today.
Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us.
Word up.
And Dwarfnich, thanks for monitoring the chat today. Sorry we haven't given a lot of time to the chat yet. And a lot of us talking. And thanks to everyone joining us. So yeah, I see we got Blitz, we got Symbio, Brett Evans. I can't believe Symbio's still up.
He doesn't sleep. What do you mean?
He doesn't sleep.
What is it? Visiting the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota? What is he in Minnesota?
Was he referencing when I mentioned my road trip?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, probably. We got Tom Wilson, Dan Kaplinger, I'm Not David. Diana is here. Great. Oh, that's DarthBob. We know him. Fergus Carroll's here too. Awesome. Yeah, we got a bunch of new folks who've been coming to the last few streams. Oh, and then Donal O'Merch. I think that's new. I think I've not seen Donal O'Merch before.
I think he was here on the last Work in Progress Wednesday. The Donald names kind of.
Well, welcome back.
Oh, I'm gonna do something fun on stream today. I got a new and shrink wrap.
Oh, Terath's here too. Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Oh.
I like that he says that Neurolictor is a kangaroo. Damn it. That's pretty cool. You got an old school Grinfex there.
Yep.
Impressive.
New and shrink wrap. And we are going
Fancy.
to open it up.
Well, I need to thank you again for helping me get the new in box 2nd edition Tyranids.
Yeah.
Because I popped those out when Eric from Eric's Hobby Workshop was here working on our video together, and he lost his mind.
Yeah,
oh,
we're lucky we got those when we did, because now it would have cost so much more to get those.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah. Since the Tyranid
the Screamer Killer's cool again?
Yeah, since the new Tyranid release, everybody's been buying up old school Tyranids.
Oh, good thing we got in. I think I now have, like, I don't have a warrior box. I don't really think I need a warrior box, but I've got pretty much everything else, like, of my initial models that I got into Tyranids with in their original packaging, which is cool. Like, I've got, Box got me some Termagants.
Oh, nice.
Which was awesome. Yeah, apparently he just had some extras kicking around, so he hooked me up.
I need some old school Termagants. I have, like, the old Hunter Slayers, but I don't have any, like, the edition, the ones right before the last ones. The first plastic ones.
Yeah, the 2nd edition pewter?
No, the first plastic ones.
Oh, yeah, sorry, sorry, why did I say pewter? I meant plastic. Yeah, the 2nd edition plastic ones that came 6 in a box.
Yeah, I don't have those. I don't have any of them, unfortunately.
I love models or the box?
Either. I don't have.
Oh,
I don't have any.
Dang.
I think I have a full unit of them. Units worth. When I was getting out of the hobby the first time around, selling off all of my old stuff, nobody wanted those.
I just wanna
bully on them. Here. Now I love them.
Look how old this plastic is. How discolored it is.
Oh yeah, I've got one of those packages. I have my my Winged Hive Tyrant that I started converting and never finished. It's in that plastic clamshell, and it is similarly orange.
Classic. Look at this classic 60mm base.
That was called the Titan base.
Oh yeah, the Titan base, because they used them for Titanicus. Or yeah, Epic.
Yeah.
I have an old One Eye around here somewhere.
In box?
Yeah.
Fancy.
I think he's stored away in one of my units. One of my storage containers.
Terath has a question.
Yeah.
Does the box art on that Carnifex, does it have incorrect sighting talons with it?
It does.
Yes. Well spotted, Terath.
Yeah, that's from the
Lictor or Raveners.
Is it the Lictor or the Raveners? Yeah, or both?
I don't know. They look like pewter scything talons that they decided not to put in the box. Maybe it was like initially they intended to have that.
I know these were released. I think these were either in the Lictor, the 3rd edition Lictor, or the Raveners. I can't remember which.
I think they're the Raveners, because I'm pretty sure I have a couple of the old, like, original metal Lictor Ravener models, and I'm pretty sure those are the Siling Talons that they have.
To be honest, they look a lot better than the plastic ones that come in the kit.
Oh yeah, that I'm not a fan of that particular, the original monstrous Siling Talons.
Yeah, I love these for
send them to me.
bits. I love these for, like, they're very good for converting. But they're on their own they're a little derpy.
They're not great scything talents yet.
All right, good.
Yeah, they like people use the knuckles on them for like feet kind of things.
I used
in the
that
day,
for the Talent Horror, which was shamelessly stolen from Hydra, of course.
Yeah. And then I recently discovered that the forearms on those old plastic scything talons are perfect for big beefy shins for like a warrior or a Tyranid Prime.
Makes sense. Kind of reminds me of me using the crushing claw bits to make my Tyranid Prime.
Yep. I think I stole the armor plates from them to put. Yeah, I went to so much trouble cutting off the armor plates. I could have just sculpted them, but I cut off the armor plates from those and put them on the shins of my Tyranid Prime, and I was pretty happy with it. So what are you going to do with that model, DarthBob? You got a plan? You going to make it?
Yeah, well, kind of. So I'm thinking the legs, and then put this on top as like a shoulder.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah,
you're bringing 3rd edition and 10th edition together. I like it.
So kind of evoking. I don't know if any of you played the remake of Resident Evil 2. I'm kind of imagining the 3rd evolution of William Birkin in that film, or in that game. Kind of evoke that, but Tyranid style.
I feel like I gotta look this up. Can you send me a picture of it later?
Yeah. I can look it up right now, actually.
All I know about Resident Evil is I tried playing the first game, and I couldn't figure it out because I ran out of ammo and just started dying. And then when I went to Japan, my students were obsessed with calling me Wesker. Apparently he's one of the characters.
Yes, I can see it.
They're like,
actually.
Oh, Nikurase, Weska, Weska, Weska. I'm like, who the fuck is this Weska guy? And then I looked him up. And then for Halloween, I dressed up as Wesker. And they lost their mind.
That's hilarious.
It was literally, I just wore like a black coat, some black gloves, and some sunglasses. And they're like, oh, Nikurase, Weska.
Nani?
They loved
That's
it.
great. So yeah, so the first Resident Evil, even the remaster they did back in like 2001, it's very much old style Capcom survival horror. Nowadays, after Resident Evil 4, they started going more of like an action horror route, so the gameplay is a lot different. If you haven't played the second game remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, it's phenomenal. I definitely recommend it.
Okay. Cool.
I put it in Work in Progress Wednesday.
Thanks. Oh, I guess we should ask chat. Chat, what kind of stuff are you working on? This week, recently, whenever, when it comes to your hobby? Let us know. Yeah, I feel like I need to do more hobby. I got a decent amount done at the cottage because I did not bring my Switch. And then I came home and fell into a deep Tears of the Kingdom hole. Both metaphorically and literally, heading back into the depths, which oh my god. I don't know if you guys know much about Tears of the Kingdom. Do you guys play Tears? Anyone here play Tears?
So this might be a controversial statement. I have never played a Legend of Zelda game in my life.
Hey,
how do you feel about open world games?
I love open world games. I've sunk so many hours into Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
So I will say, as someone who games a lot, Breath of the Wild, because I have not played Tears of the Kingdom yet. Breath of the Wild is very different from 80% of the open world games that are out there. So it's
in what way?
So the gameplay loop of I think I'm echoing. Hold on, I don't want to.
You are. I've got headphones on. Does anyone not have headphones on?
I'm not hearing echoing on my end.
I was hearing
I
echoing
heard a
on
little bit, but
Dwarfinish.
not too much.
It might just be my headset. Let me unplug and replug.
You're okay now, I think. This is weird because Dwarfinish is the one who helps me fix my tech issues. He always knows how to fix stuff. So
I need to
it'd be weird
computer,
if
but
he's
there's
got the
not
fifth
really
member.
anything wrong with it, so I don't want to.
Oh, good plan.
Sounds like me with my phone.
Like the only problem with my computer is that like the USB ports on the top are kind of old, and so they're not always consistently functioning, and that is what my headphones are plugged into. But it's not so much of an inconvenience that I'm going to spend $1,000 to replace my desktop.
That's very fair.
Anyway, so Breath of the Wild has a very different gameplay loop from most like open world RPGs, which if anyone has played a lot of open world RPGs and Breath of the Wild, they'll understand what I mean. Like the overland travel is very different compared to a lot of open world RPG games. Like yes, like there's the fast travel and it's extremely convenient, but they purposely make all of the locations and the POIs in Breath of the Wild very dramatic and entertaining. Or it's just like, oh yeah, like every combat is almost like a puzzle. And the way they do like their resources is very different from most open world games. Like if you compare it to something like Skyrim, where you go in, you get your powerful sword, and you level up, and you get more powerful swords. Whereas with Breath of the Wild, it's you go into a more dangerous area, you get better gear, and that allow you to go into even more dangerous area.
Okay.
As well as like with the way that they do travel, because Breath of the Wild added in a climbing system, which was very divisive, which I thought was like extremely interesting because instead of just
oh god, I love climbing. I climb everything. Oh my god, I'm like I could climb that. It's bad in this game because in Tears of the Kingdom they give you this thing so you don't have to climb. It's basically like if there's a piece of rock overhanging you, you can beam yourself up through the rock to be on top of it. And I always forget I have it. So I was like, there's this like giant colossus statue, and I'm like carefully like climbing this thing, preserving my stamina. I'm like, why didn't I just use my teleport ability and just teleport up on top? Oh god, I love climbing. Sorry, that's not normal in open world?
No. So personally, I think the climbing system in Breath of the Wild is awesome. I think it was like one of the most interesting like gameplay developments that they had ever done, and I felt like they like that ability looks really cool. Like it looks like a really cool power and very useful. But I think it kind of is catering to the people who really hated the climbing system in Breath of the Wild, because say in something like Assassin's Creed, you just climb forever, and it just makes climbing like kind of monotonous. Like after you've played like 10 Assassin's Creed, Batman Arkham Asylum, the Shadow of War, Shadow of Mordor games, like they all have the same climbing system, and it's just you see a ledge, push towards it, jump. Whereas with Breath of the Wild, like yeah, you're just going up vertically, but like if you're using like a bad surface, you lose stamina faster. If it's wet, you start falling down. Which is just like very interesting, and like no other game has really gone and replicated that outside of that one that was like a knockoff of Breath of the Wild that I forget about that nobody really played.
Oh, I don't know that one.
It was some game that was kind of like based on Greek lore, but not really.
Oh, okay.
I like how
yeah, I'm glad you
Creed...
have this experience because like I only play Nintendo games just because that's the only system I own. So I don't have other open world experience. I just like played Breath of the Wild and it blew my mind. But
I think
yeah, that's a really good perspective.
I think that's a good way to be. And like if you only play really high end games, especially if you don't have a lot of time to game, I think you're doing it right. Blitz Mechanica out here with a really interesting fact that I did not know. He said that the teleportability in Breath of the Wild was a development hack that the team had so much fun with that they made it a feature in Tears of the Kingdom.
Huh. The teleport up through stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And Symbio Joe wants to know exactly what DarthBob is working on because he can't tell. He said, sadly, people who made walking neuro tyrants already and do not take very conclusive pictures of them showing the pelvis and the body.
So it's not like, it's kind of hard to explain what exactly I'm making. So I've got this pet project called Triptych 28, which is like my own little fan fiction corner of the Warhammer universe. And in this world, there are these Tyranid mutates. They're not quite gene stealer cult. It's more the hive mind changing people into Tyranids, more or less. They're basically psychically manipulating the DNA of a population within a hive city and steadily turning their biomass into something that resembles something more Tyranid-esque. It's kind of partially inspired by the I forget what they call it, the black goo from Prometheus that is able to like mutate things into, it's like almost like a
Ooh, nice.
weaponized evolution type of situation.
Yeah. I don't think they ever name it, do they?
They have in the expanded universe. I don't think they ever name it in the movies. The
Oh, okay.
pathogen, I think they call it in
Yeah.
not in, they don't name it in Prometheus, but I think they call it the pathogen in Alien Covenant.
Oh, okay.
But
That's a good name for it.
I googled it. It is called chemical A0-3959X.91.
nice.
The pathogen is a way better name for
Yes, I agree.
Rolls off the tongue.
So this particular one is one of those weird Tyranid mutates, but it's more or less going to look like a big hunchy walking neurotyrant. I kind of want these things to almost evoke like, well, what if the hive mind wanted to create say Carnifex out of a person, but it doesn't quite have the same resources it has within the hive ship? Well, it would look kind of like a Carnifex, but it wouldn't quite look right. It wouldn't quite look fully Tyranid. It would kind of have a weird blending of, the base organism that it used to create the Carnifex with a little bit of Tyranid DNA thrown in to look kind of like weird, not quite right Tyranids. If you've ever seen I think Wilhelm Miniatures and another guy, I think his name is Big Boss Red Skull, did some really weird Tyranid stuff. I was partially inspired by that. Like stuff that looks Tyranid, but still not as quite as refined as like what we're used to.
A lot of humans still in it,
Yeah.
it feels like to me.
Yeah, almost more like
it looks
hybrid.
like mutated humans rather than like we took your humans, we put them in a blender, we took their biomass and made purely Tyranid stuff out of it.
Exactly. Something a lot more like the aberrants from the official Gene Stealer line, like something more like all aberrants rather than. And honestly, I prefer my Gene Stealer cultists to look more like that than
I'm down.
Than the just
bald humans.
Yeah, bald humans with ridges on their heads.
Look, it's alopecia, okay?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with being bald, all right? Some of us just we're more blessed.
I didn't say there's anything wrong with being bald. I was just saying that people who are bald are not aliens.
I think we are.
Want
give
you
me
to
more
think.
alien.
I think we are. Maybe I'd look better with skull ridges. Who knows?
That reminds me though. So when we were traveling on my road trip from Vegas to Visalia, California, on the way there, we're like driving through the desert and we see a billboard that says Alien Fresh Jerky. And we're like, what the heck is that? And we were like, we tried to look it up, but there was like no phone service out there. And then we passed another one that said Alien Fresh Jerky, next right. And so we pulled off the highway.
Of course you did.
And there is this, in the middle of the desert, this podunk town, there's this giant building shaped like a massive lunar rover, covered in like alien decorations and alien like statues and stuff, and all they sell is alien memorabilia and beef jerky.
Amazing.
And right next to it,
this
they're building a
truck
UFO
stop in the United States. This is
shaped hotel.
Nice.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow. Okay, that seems like a bit too far. I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain the alien hotel.
That sounds awesome. Are you kidding? I would go there just for the hotel.
Yeah, but like in the middle of the desert.
It was very weirdly placed.
Like partially from Neil Gaiman and American Gods and stuff like that, but I've been led to believe that this is what America is. It's just weird attractions in the middle of nowhere.
Well,
like House on Rock.
That's not
and stuff
wrong.
Like that.
Look,
It's not
you have to
completely wrong
understand
that
that
we go more
America's
west.
a very big place, and especially once you get out west, there's a lot of space in between people, so you get really bored because it's very flat up until you get to the mountains.
Yeah.
It is.
Like I lived in a town that had the world's largest pecan, but it was just a statue of a pecan.
Yeah.
So
I got
that
to
really threw
see.
me.
So it was actually kind of funny. We stopped in Fort Stockton, Texas, and Fort Stockton's only claim to fame used to be that they have the world's largest Roadrunner statue. However,
Yeah.
about a decade ago,
Some jerk.
somebody else built a larger Roadrunner statue. So,
They're
and
pissed.
the best part is we went and saw the like it was like maybe 5 minutes from our hotel. So before we left Fort Stockton, we went and saw the world's second largest Roadrunner statue. And that very
Yeah.
day, as we were driving, I look off to the side, and just next to the highway, I just see this giant bird, and I'm like, "Hey, hon, can you check and see if that's the world's biggest Roadrunner statue?" And sure enough, it was. So we turned around and went and saw the world's largest Roadrunner statue. So I got to see both the first and second biggest Roadrunner statue in the world in the same day.
Which impressed you more?
Definitely the world's biggest, because the first one is just like some like giant shitty statue like you'd see at a putt-putt course. Whereas the world's biggest, it was really cool. It's like they took like trash and they made a giant statue out of it. Like it was made of like old keyboards and bike tires and
Oh, cool.
hockey pads and football pads. It was really, really cool actually. I'll post a picture to Discord.
Nice.
Imagine
I'm looking
the
forward to
We
person
have
in
a
Stockton, Texas, is like those sons of bitches.
Yeah.
yeah, it's clearly their rivalry. Someone really hated Stockton, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you think so? I'll show you." We have this thing out east of my city. There's a place called Port Hope, which, fun fact, is where they filmed the new It movies.
Oh, really?
Both the good one, part 1, and the shitty one, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And like the city, the town is very like noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a place like north of there called like Primal Crafts or something, or Primal something, and they do that kind of like they take garbage and they make it into giant transformers and Tyrannosauruses and stuff.
Pretty cool.
But the place is such a tourist trap. Like they have just like all this teak furniture that is like just the crummiest like made in China junk you've ever seen, and they have all this like all these Buddha statues around and like pseudo like I don't know spiritual nonsense. And like we went there and I'm like, whoa, this place is really weird. And like Nora was like offended by it. She's like, I can never come back here again. I find this place offensive.
Wow.
Like, there's appropriation of Asian culture and all that. I'm like, yeah, it is a little gross, like what they're doing.
Huh.
And it's like in like podunk nowhere, like super whitey town. Oh man, it's weird.
That does seem like where
But
you
the
would
giant
find
sculptures,
that,
the trash sculptures are pretty cool.
yeah.
Anyway, so if you want to get like the giant trash sculpture without the like Asian appropriation, you can just go to Port Hope where they filmed it, and you can wander around. And then in there, like they have like a tourist office. They have a Bumblebee, like the new style Bumblebee from the new Transformers movies,
Cool.
made of trash by these guys, and it's just in their like tourist visitor center in the town.
That's really cool.
It actually looks pretty good. Like they did a good job, especially because like the way Michael Bay makes his Transformers,
Yeah,
they look like they're made of trash.
They do look like they're made of trash. This is true.
But I think they have an Optimus and they have a Bumblebee. The Optimus is at the like shitty tourist trap place, but the Bumblebee is in town. Anyway, neither here nor there. Oh, but what I was gonna say about Tears of the Kingdom, if there's anyone here who hasn't played Tears of the Kingdom yet and doesn't want to be spoiled, see this model on my screen here. I'm gonna move this model off the screen, and I'm gonna talk about something that's gonna spoil Tears of the Kingdom, something from Tears of the Kingdom for you. And when I'm done talking about it, I'm gonna move this model back on the screen. So if you want to mute it, you can mute now. And this guy's gonna fly away over here. I'm gonna put him back on when I'm done. All right, you muted. so there's this part in Tears of the Kingdom, like there's 3 open worlds. They advertise the fact that like there's this world in the sky that you can like fly up to and like explore these islands floating in the sky above like the open world below. And that's freaking cool. But there's another open world underground.
Oh.
Like, and I didn't know about it when I first started playing the game, and I like, but they have like caves. I'm like, oh cool, they introduced caves. And I was like exploring some caves. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And they kept saying that like, oh yeah, if you want to get this one special mineral, you can get it in the depths below Hyrule. I'm like, okay, so down in the caves, gotcha, whatever. So then I was like exploring caves, and then every so often you come across these big angry red like canyons. They're just like these bottomless pits that like extend down into the ground, and they've got the red like goopy stuff around them like the bad guy Ganon guy has. So I saw one, I'm like, oh, this is just another cave. So I go and I jump in it, and I'm like falling for a long time. I'm like, oh shit, when is this gonna end? And then I get to the bottom. I'm like, oh well, that was weird. And I start wandering around, and it's pitch black. Like you can't see anything unless you bring like these special like light seeds that you have to like distribute to see stuff. Every so often there'll be like a torch, but it's really creepy. And I'm wandering around. I'm like, man, this is a really big cave. And I keep wandering. I'm like, wait a minute. And that was when I realized it's a whole open world underground. And it's so creepy. Like, because it's always black and you have to like find these like lighthouses and like illuminate it. And the enemies are like infested with this red goop. And if they hit you, you can't regenerate your health until you leave. Or until you find one of these magical lighthouses to like restore your ability to give back health. So it gives like this whole new dynamic to the game, because up until that point you're like, whatever, I collected all these acorns, I can like turn them into like food and I can eat it and I don't have to worry about losing health. But down there you're like, shh, like I can't get my health back. I need to find a lighthouse, or I need to leave this place and teleport up to the surface and regain my health and then come back. And oh man, it's so cool. And like I just loved it because I was surprised by it. Like, I didn't know that it existed. I just stumbled upon it and was like, this is freaking cool. And like a lot of people have said that Tears of the Kingdom like makes Zelda scary again. And I feel it.
Huh. Well,
Like,
that's enticing. Do I have to have played Breath of the Wild to play Tears of the Kingdom?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
There are bits that like continue from Breath of the Wild, but you don't have to know them.
Okay.
And like the world is like slightly modified from Breath of the Wild, but it's kind of the same world map. It's just a bunch of shit fell on it. So yeah, you definitely don't have to play Breath of the Wild to play Tears of the Kingdom. Breath of the Wild is a good game. You could just start with Tears of the Kingdom though.
Okay. Good first Zelda experience, you think?
It's blah.
Every Zelda,
what do you think?
every Zelda is more or less a standalone game. Same with like kind of how Mario does it, where they always change up.
Yeah, Final Fantasy. Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
Most
like
Final Fantasy.
I'd say it's like Final Fantasy.
Because like,
well, there's more continuation.
So what Nintendo does is pretty much every time they make a new game in their franchises, they're the same IP, but they're almost a completely different game. So like with Zelda, like there's a lot of things that keep the same, but they're constantly changing the formula, and so they're constantly like updating like what they're doing and just completely changing the entire gameplay loop. Like it might always be like, oh yeah, Link has to go fight Ganon, save Zelda, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But they act very different. Like a lot of them are like cute little dungeon crawlers, or they're nothing but puzzles. Whereas with Breath of the Wild, they kept like those puzzle elements, kind of constrain them to specific areas outside of a couple of things, like with the big boss monsters. And you could theoretically go and do almost the whole game without doing the puzzle areas, which are their shrines.
Well, you'd only have 4 hearts.
Yeah,
something.
It'd be rough, but you could do it without doing.
Yeah, people have done it.
Yeah, like you can see all these like speed runs of like, oh yeah, how fast can I go beat this game in my underwear? And they just like they'll grab like a leaf
in the game wearing underwear, not in.
Yeah.
Not in real life wearing underwear.
Yeah. I believe the technical expression is "get good, scrub."
Yeah. As a avid player of From Software's games, I have no fear of difficult situations in video games.
Well, it doesn't have to be that difficult. It's not as punishing as like Dead Souls or whatever the heck.
Dead Souls.
Oh my god.
I mean, Demon Souls is pretty punishing. Like
What?
it's so that's the
Original.
original game. So they had like their Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and like originally what made FromSoft like big sort of kind of it was kind of a sleeper. It was kind of a cult thing besides like the Mech Warrior or whatever.
Yeah.
They had Demon Souls where if you die, Mr. Pink, you respawn, but you have half your health until you beat whoever killed you.
Oh, dang.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's rough. I really
I don't
like
know if it's as
Sekiro
bad
though.
as Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2's mechanics were pretty brutal. The curse mechanic.
You can see that I never
kinda
played these
gross.
games. I actually played Dead Souls, but I forgot that
You mean
confused
Dark
Dead Souls and
Souls?
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls.
No, there's a game called
Oh,
Dead Souls.
Dead Souls? I've never heard of Dead Souls.
It's like a side-scrolling kind of like
Dead
beat 'em
Cells.
up. Sorry, Dead Cells.
Dead Cells
Thank
is
you.
very good.
Dead Cells.
That's a great game.
Yeah.
Oh, Dead Cells.
I like
Oh yeah,
that
didn't
one.
they do a Castlevania crossover with them recently?
Oh, dang,
Probably
that'd be cool.
Dead Cells did a lot of like very cool. Wait, why did this become a game chat?
Have you
Anyway,
been to this
it's
chat?
my fault. It's my fault.
No, I was the one talking about Tears of the Kingdom. That's why I'm not doing Hobby. In fact, now I'm not talking about Hobby. I'm talking about Tears of the Kingdom. It's ruining my life.
Dead Souls does a lot of like really cool crossovers with a lot of games. It's just they go and they be like, hey, you know, we really like this game, and they reach out and then they do little cameos where it's like, okay, we're gonna do a Hollow Knight event, we're gonna do a Castlevania event, etc.,
Oh,
etc., and you get
Hollow
all
Knight.
these
Something about
cool
this.
items and skins and stuff.
I love Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight's
Oh,
great.
it's one of my top 5 favorite games of all time.
I got to get back into it. I tried playing it and I didn't have enough experience with Metroidvania and I got frustrated. And then I played what's the new Metroid one? Dread.
Mhm.
And before I played Dread, I was actually like on leave from work for a time and I spent it chilling my mental health, not my current job, my previous job, which can go to hell.
Mhm.
And I spent it chilling, recovering my mental health, and playing Super Metroid. And Super Metroid taught me to love Metroidvania because I'd never played it before. And then from that, I played Metroid Dread. So now I feel like I'm more open to Metroidvania games. So I should give Hollow Knight another try.
Oh, definitely do. Like honestly, it's like the only Metroidvania game I was really ever able to get into. I've tried a bunch, and it was just like Hollow Knight was the only one that really like spoke to me. And
yeah,
it is such a beautiful masterpiece of a game. Like I have the albums on vinyl. I have bought
oh wow,
I have bought it on every console except for PlayStation, just because I never got to use my PlayStation. I have a super limited special edition from a company that's now defunct, that you can't get anymore. But I never did bother to buy the actual official special edition. Um,
yeah.
when they re-released it. But like if you struggle with it at all, reach out to me. I will tell you, like I'll give you advice.
So I
but not
literally tried to
spoil it.
play the first boss and he destroyed me and I couldn't figure out how to beat him.
Oh, just
He was like some guard or something.
yeah, the false knight, like he's got a bit of a learning curve, but as soon as you figure out, you know, how to fight him, like because really it's all about understanding how to play the game, like understanding like what to do. And I feel like they do a very
Patterns,
great
yeah.
job with all of their bosses and like new mechanics, because a lot of times like the early bosses will introduce new mechanics to the game to kind of teach you how to play, and as soon as you understand
Yeah.
those mechanics, you're going to start flying. The bosses are very challenging at times, but I would say I'm like a very mediocre Hollow Knight player, but I've gotten it down where you can beat the entire first area and the first boss within 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it's
Cool.
all about learning curve. Okay, let's get back onto hobby.
Sounds good.
Mr. Pink.
Sorry I led us astray.
No, it's a group effort. Oh, actually, let me do chat real quick. There's not a lot relevant. There's a little bit of stuff. There's a little bit of we're having a little bit of bald jokes. Some stuff about America.
Oh wait, one thing I wanted to say about Bald. Hold on. So I don't know if I've plugged him before. I hope I've plugged him before. But if you have any interest in Game of Thrones at all, and like you're like, I guess A Song of Ice and Fire, the books, and you're like pissed off at George R. R. Martin for not having released the next book. If you want filler content, I'm obsessed with Preston Jacobs. Hold on, Let me see this. I put it in the chat. So I've been watching his videos for years and years and years. He is a theory crafter for A Song of Ice and Fire. He's started writing a fan fiction for the next book, and it is damn good. It is shockingly good. Like, he's working with 7 editors, and they're only using words that like George R. R. Martin would use, and like I don't know, it's blowing me away. But he also does streams where he like talks about A Song of Ice and Fire stuff a bit, like the books and like mysteries and theories and stuff like that. But then he also just like talks about politics because he works in foreign affairs, or he worked for the State Department or something like that overseas. He's a very well-traveled American, and he doesn't have a big ego about it or anything. He's just like, yeah, I think everyone should travel. I think everyone should see the world. And but he also has like really refreshing positive takes on like masculinity and stuff like that. Like he had this one, he's not like a guy who does like inspirational videos or whatever, or like bro stuff, but somehow he got on the topic of people were like asking him about like, he was talking about like people who have like these stupid channels that tell you how to meet girls or whatever, and like how to get with women, and it's all bullshit. It's all about, I think it was like Andrew Tate, and he was like pushing back against Andrew Tate being an asshole. And he said that he was saying that like his advice to men, like if you're trying to meet a woman, the like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was something like there's only 3 words you need to know, and the 3 words are, oh wow, really? And basically what he was saying is like you just have to like actually listen to someone and actually show interest in like what they're interested in, and like encourage them to tell you more about themselves. And like that's a really good way to like kind of break the ice when meeting, I guess, like not just women, like any person, because people like being able to like share their own story and stuff like that. So he's got kind of like, that's like his take on like masculinity. But on his most recent stream, bringing this back to like conversation about being bald, someone on his stream messaged him because he's bald, and like he's a pretty confident dude, and like he's got like 2 kids, and he's got a wife. He lives in Taiwan right now because that's where his wife works, but she works for the State Department or something. And someone was like, hey Preston, like, do you have any advice for me? I'm 35 and I'm losing my hair from the front. Like, what would you say I should do? And like he was literally like, his advice was, women don't care about men's looks as much as men do. Men are like super insecure and like super like well, he was doing a lot of generalization, and he actually apologized for generalizing. But part of his generalization was, he's like, men are very like vain and very like about looks, and like it's important to men to have like an attractive like partner or whatever, but women care more about men who are confident, men who are funny, men who are successful, like way more than whether or not they have hair. And I just thought it was such a like refreshing, positive, like, I don't know, good take on the whole thing, because like you can't control your hair and like whether you're going to lose your hair. And like I feel like I was joking with Nora about this once, and she's like, what would you do if you lost your hair? I'm like, I just shave it off and move on. Like, I can't do anything about it. I just got to accept it.
I will say, as a bald man who is, single, dating, etc., the like, because you like when you start losing your hair, it does do like a like there's some mental tools. But like one of the best things I ever did, because I started balding when I was like early 20s, like when I was like 21.
Oh wow!
And I know a lot of people who, like, I know of and know people who started going bald like in high school, and that's like really rough.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
because kids are assholes. Like this guy was talking about like doing it at 35. Like, you're dealing with adults.
Which, like, at 35, like if you're only starting to bald at 35, like, come on, man, get it together.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Because like I struggled with it for a long time, but after a point when you start losing your hair, because there is stuff you can do to like keep your hair or whatever, if that's important to you.
He was talking about that. He's like, there's like pills you can take, but some like deal with like, they have like sexual consequences and stuff like that, and there's like this, that, and the other thing. Yeah.
And come over the like the grown out parts over to the thinning parts, and
yeah. Like and a lot
but
of
if it's
people,
going from the front, that's hard.
Yeah, a lot of people like really respect like a strong widow speak, but like what I did to like kind of regain my confidence, because I tried this when I was like much younger and it didn't work because of my face at the time, but I ended up just completely shaving my hair, and so I go like full like chrome dome shiny bald, skin,
Yeah.
and I felt so much better about myself because I didn't because you can look at yourself in the mirror, and it doesn't look like, oh god, like my hairs look so terrible, it looks so terrible. You can
Yeah, like you don't
clean yourself
see.
up as long as you look clean. It does a lot
Yeah.
towards making you look attractive because if you look like you're taking care of yourself, if that whether that's like you do your hair up real nice if you do have hair, or if you're losing your hair, so you make sure you have like the cleanest cut you can, even if that's like just completely shaving your head bald and doing as much as you can to like accessorize and like take care of yourself otherwise, that puts a lot
Yeah.
forward towards like presenting yourself as an attractive person towards meeting new people.
Yeah.
And also, making jokes about being bald tends to go over really well, and is very
Oh, really?
like being bald and then making jokes about it, like you like showing that you don't care, and like you can make a little bit of like depreciation, but obviously like
Yeah.
you're not upset about it. It shows that you are more comfortable with like your baldness, and everyone's like kind of
Yeah, you're confident.
yeah, and no one's like, oh gosh, should I mention that he's bald? And I've only ever had someone hurt my feelings about being bald once, and they did it unintentionally, and it was before I started shaving my head. So
Oh, okay.
typically, no one's gonna go at you and say something like terrible about you for being bald.
Especially a woman.
Yeah.
Like in your experience, shit you hear from men, shit you hear from women. Do you hear more of when you hear shit, do you hear it from men versus women, or?
I have heard a couple of things from women, but it was more like women being catty and talking about someone.
Yeah.
Which I'm not gonna go into it was more like
No.
girls gossiping around the water cooler. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's very different than like someone going up to you and insulting you. But typically, if someone is like really hung up on that, you don't want to be interacting with that person. Like that's
No.
not someone you want to be dating anyway. So it's
Exactly.
just an
Yeah, like
easy
it's a
way
good way
like dodge
to
a bullet.
filter out folks that you don't want to be with.
Also,
And
you can grow a beard.
yeah, like well, okay, not everyone can grow a
Well,
beard.
if you can grow a
Okay.
beard, grow a
Yeah.
beard.
As a facially hirsute incapable person, I'm just saying that.
You mean someone who doesn't have to worry about shaving all the time? That's pretty cool.
No, the problem is like I still have to shave. It's just that like I get that like
Yeah.
shitty like
Mhm.
growth that kind of looks like a teenager, like going through
Oh
puberty.
no.
Yeah, it's not patchy. It's just like it's very locational, but like it's not yeah it's thanks Asian genetics.
Oh, question. We have not. We
Yeah.
have been getting way off topic. Will, have you
Wait,
tried growing
hold
a
on.
mustache?
I just want to say Dwarfenage. Dwarfenage, thanks for sharing your experience. I just didn't want to like when the bald you said something about bald, someone said something about bald. I just didn't want to let it go unchallenged. Just because I had literally just heard this. He just did this on his last stream and I thought it was really impressive, like how he went about it. And like he kind of said that like make jokes about it, tell people you don't care. That's how he approaches it. But anyway, yeah, thanks for sharing your experience.
Okay. Will, have you
mustache.
tried growing a mustache?
I can't even get that far, man.
Okay. So the thing that no one tells you about like growing a mustache until you really start looking into it, it's gonna look stupid for a month. So that's part of why like COVID, like after like post COVID, you walked around, you would see all these people with mustaches. Because everyone could hide that they were trying to grow this mustache. And it looked terrible for months with just face masks. Because that's when I started growing a mustache. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's a game changer. Because like for the first like 3 weeks, it just looks like you have this weird wispy little bit of hair on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're not bald, it's not as big of a deal. But it does help because like if personally, like even if it's just like for me, like for myself, it helps to be able to have like some kind of a thing to break up the way your face looks. Like because like with hair, it's like okay, you have hair, or like you go around wearing a hat or whatever. It's like okay, there's because partly I think it's from being an artist is that I don't always feel like I'm visually interesting enough. Because I did go when I just decided to like shave like my beard and all my hair off recently just to like kind of do like a fresh start. And I didn't feel weird missing my beard. Because sometimes I keep it like very short. I felt really weird.
Dwarfenage, do you wear glasses?
Yes.
Because that could be a thing that breaks your face up, right?
Yeah. It's just like I also have like a very round chin, and so like you can use the You can
Oh,
use your beard to like square. Wait, why are we talking? Oh my gosh! Okay, we're gonna finish this and we're gonna get on to hobby.
Hey man, this is what people come here for. This is why people tune in.
Me and Mr. Pink are still working on stuff.
Anyway, yeah, you can use a beard to like square your face, but as an artist, I like to be able to look at myself and see a lot of visual interest, whether it's like the
Yeah.
way I'm doing like my hair or like my clothes. Like I'll wear a lot of like plain clothes, but depending on like what's going on, I might wear like a couple of rings. Sometimes I'll wear like a necklace. I try to wear like kind of like shirts that I like, and I don't think we have anybody in chat who's like struggling as like a single person, um, and anything like that. They're feeling like alienated as like a male because I know
Well,
like
they
a
could
lot
be.
of
You don't know.
like because I mean we're okay. You you're
We don't
correct.
know. We don't
You're
know. That could be
correct.
the case.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your life. There could be a lot of things going on in the individual members of the chat's life. Um, it's from most of the people that we talk to and we talk to on a regular basis. Many of them are married with kids because we kind of cater to the older portion of the hobby because just the people.
Wait. I want to check that because I'm not. I don't think Will is. I don't think DarthBob is.
I'm
I
30.
don't know if Diana and Tom have kids.
You're right. You got me.
I think probably
I'm
most of us don't have
overgeneralizing.
kids. Highfleet Malak doesn't have kids. I mean, Hydra does, but I think there's probably a lot of us. That's another hole that I can fall into, which is the pro-natalist thing and the assumption that everyone's going to have kids. Because I want to push back against that hard.
Okay.
And I know Dwarfnage, you feel a little bit of that.
Yeah, because honestly, you convinced me. Because like I had thought, because you talked about that on stream one time about like your conceptualization of like what makes like a happy home life and like what is expected about like the 2.5 kids in a house or whatever, and that like led me to like really do some thinking and realize that I myself did not want to have children, and so I did lifestyle changes based around that, which we're not going to go into more detail, but it's very it's just stuff to think about. And there's a lot of things in modern society that are kind of archaic, and we can all benefit from maybe like questioning some of those things, and that's also not knocking anyone that does follow those things, because there's a reason that they've been around for so long, and they are like the goal for a lot of people, because there's a lot of like very nice like aspects of those things, like a lot of people really enjoy raising children and starting a family and like living that kind of life, but it's not for everyone. I think that's okay, which is something
it's also something that can change, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought that me and Nora are totally on the same page about this 100%. And then we had to have some conversations recently where we may not have both been the same amount 100% on the same page, and we hadn't really realized that. So it does change. Like it could be that right now you're like, I'm never gonna have kids ever, and then you're like 45 and you're like, good Lord, I need to have kids right now. So like that can happen. And fortunately, if you decide to have some kind of, I don't know, guys can get surgery about that, and apparently it's reversible.
No,
so maybe that's the way to go.
It's not.
Oh no?
No. It's possibly so.
Sorry, we didn't have to get into
There's
this.
A lot of common misconception about surgical sterilization for men. Within 5 years, there is a somewhat higher chance of it being reversible. But there's a lot of complications, and it's not very easy, and it can go very wrong, and you can potentially be left with like pain for life and still not be able to have children.
Okay, that's not good.
So there was a lot of like information going around saying that if you go around,
it was reversible.
Yeah, and it was just like misinformation from people like not really like looking into it very much. But
okay, that's good to know.
The way I have considered it is that if I ever do want to have kids, I would, because like I don't like babies, kind of make me uncomfortable. I would much rather like adopt or foster, even though it's like a very difficult process. But it's not as difficult of a process to become a foster. Then you can help some kid who needs it. Because like one of the things for me,
the kid who's already here.
Exactly. One of the things for me is that I did not feel comfortable bringing someone into the world, but I don't mind helping someone who already is here.
I
Yeah.
could
That's a
just
good way to
I
look
could
at it.
just input my own perspective on this. My girlfriend came
Sure,
into
if you're
this.
comfortable.
Yeah, my girlfriend came into this relationship with her own child.
Mhm.
So since we got together, I've been kind of taking over the role as her father, and
Mhm.
it's definitely been an adjustment for me, because obviously it's I got to skip a lot of the baby phase, right? Because when I
Mhm.
met her,
Yeah.
she had just turned 3. Um,
Oh,
but
so she's a kid. Kids are fun.
yeah,
Mhm.
Babies are okay, but I find them boring. Kids are fun.
but I love the little bugger. She's great. And it's definitely I was married before, and with my ex-wife we had talked about having kids, and it was just one of those things where it was just never in the cards for us financially and like where we were at professionally, and then inevitably the relationship fell apart before we ever really got the chance to explore that aspect of our lives. And I've now found you know that kind of opportunity to fulfill a role as a father that I never had before. And now that I'm in it, you know I really love it, a lot
Mhm.
more than I thought I was going
Cool.
to. It was always something that I kind of looked at with a lot of trepidation. And now that I've been kind of thrown into it, or I guess threw myself into it, I'm glad I did.
Cool.
Cool. That's awesome. Congratulations. I don't know if that's what you're supposed to say, but that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's
I'm
just
glad
you
you are
mentioned.
happy in your relationship
There we
and
go.
with your paternal role to this child.
Well, no,
There
you
we
just
go.
mentioned about how perspectives can change. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I also have a friend who he and his wife had a kid, and they were originally planning to have that, what is it, DINK, the Dink lifestyle, dual income,
Oh
no
yeah,
kids.
Dink. Dual income, no kids.
And and they were pretty dead set on that, and they were married for about 5 years. And she accidentally got pregnant, and
Mm.
they decided after much deliberation to keep the baby, even though he was more on the side of like not wanting kids and thinking he wouldn't be a good father. And yeah, I've never seen him happier than after his daughter was born. So,
Cool.
a lot of times it's kind of one of those things where perspectives change depending on your situation.
Yeah.
See, this is just
Yeah, and any
reminding.
perspective's fine. I just like don't the thing that I mostly want, I think I've talked about this before. I don't want anyone to like assume they have to do it any one way.
Right.
That if you assume you have to have kids, like consider whether you want to have kids, consider whether you do have to have kids. And if you're not sure if you want kids, well, I don't know. Do some interrogations with
Yeah.
yourself.
It's one of those things that you can spend a long time introspecting on, and that's good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before you go out and do anything, spend a long time thinking about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
So this is just kind of reminding me of my story that my mom told to my current wife early when she first introduced my then girlfriend, was that apparently my parents were looking forward to having like a nice big family, 4 kids. They had my sister; she was very quiet and stuff. And then I came along, and apparently 2 was apparently a good number to stop.
And then Will came
Sound
along.
like a terror.
Yeah, and it's funny because like she followed that up. She's like, "Man, I can't wait for grandchildren." And it's like both my my now wife and I were just like staring at my mom, going like, "You did the worst sell job like in existence for grandchildren." Right
That's
now."
actually how I was. My parents. I was a very quiet child, and then they had my brother, and my brother was a nightmare as a baby and as a toddler.
Yeah.
So opinions can change over time
yeah,
Yeah,
in
and
any direction.
speaking of, since we're all sharing and stuff, um And speaking of opinions changing, I had a very interesting conversation with my father once where because my dad is like 16 years older than my mom. He's an old dude.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've talked about it before, but like old dad's club, it's a thing. If you've got an old dad, you know what it's like. And so yeah, he was like 16 years older than my mom. He had his own family before he met my mom. They got together, they weren't married. She got pregnant. And I don't know how he like decided to tell me this, but he told me that like he actually had a moment where he thought about like, you know, am I gonna stay or am I gonna go? And I was like, oh shit. And then he told me, he's like, you know, I decided to stay and it was the best decision I ever made because like having me and my brother at an older age, because like he had his first family when he was much younger, and he said that he felt a lot of pressures to like do like the professional thing and like do social stuff and like not be around as much as like at home with his kids, which I mean isn't great for my half brother and half sister. Like I sometimes think that I got a better dad than they did. But yeah, I was glad that he decided to hang around, and he said that he was really glad he decided to hang around because it he enjoyed it a lot better when he was older. Although from that I've got my own like baggage that I would never want to have a kid at 50 because of like what I went through, like knowing my father was older than everyone else, worrying about my dad dying and stuff like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's all different sides to it.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a very introspective dream tonight.
Dude, these are the conversations I like having. You want to talk about Space Marines? There's 50,000 other people you can listen to. Like, let's have real conversations, real like about life, about our gender roles, about how we identify. Like, let's have real
life
talk.
and
I
love,
Right.
and society, and Scribbly Space Bugs. That's what the Work in Progress Wednesdays are all about.
To heck with it, man. I don't mind getting raw for a bunch of people who I don't really know. So personally, with me, well, actually, I don't want anybody to hear me like outside of the internet.
How are your chats going? Because my chat looks
there's not a
weird.
lot going on. There's that's right. Also, I want to talk with you at some point about the chat and the video. Well, I want to like
Okay.
like not on stream. I mean, maybe we should do it on stream, but I want to
Yeah.
I want to like talk about
Let's talk about it.
keeping that in there.
Okay.
Tom Wilson was talking about like they started losing their hair at about 15. And
oh wow.
Tom was also talking about how they heard on an anti-trans podcast that was slagging. I think they said that they were listening to a anti-trans. No, they heard something about an anti-trans podcast that was disparaging hormones that trans people take, and that it was sponsored by hair medication that was the same hormones.
Oh my god.
Tom Wilson also opened up and said that that they are married, but they cannot have kids.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Tom. I think that's Tom and Diana, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it the case that you guys just I don't if Tom
Hold on, wait,
still here? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No. The audio just started getting funny for a second. Everybody good?
Yep.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna ask Tom and Diana, is it the case that you guys have chosen not to have children, or
to me that sounds like the choice was made for them.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like they
the
didn't
way
have
that
the
it's
option.
phrased.
Have you guys thought about the option of maybe adopting? Or have you basically decided that you don't want kids if you can't have your own?
If you're comfortable sharing.
If you're comfortable sharing that, of course.
I will say that for a lot of people who do want to adopt, it's very hard to do.
It is, especially in the United States.
Yeah, there's some like kind of bad stuff with like the adoption system. Like the entire, like I've had a lot of like experience with I don't want to go into too much detail on this one, but I've had a lot of like experience with like child protective services in the States due to like family, like extended family, like people I know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they are abysmal. It is terrible. They would rather put a child back into danger if that is the original family member than to assist that child and put them into a healthy environment. If it's because it's more convenient to them, it's easier. So yeah.
Just another reason to
That's
love
rough.
the good old US of A.
It's not perfect anywhere else. Canada's got its own bullshit when it comes to adoption, especially when it comes to adoption of Indigenous children and Child Protective Services taking children away from their families. You probably don't hear about this in the United States, but there's this thing that happened in Canada called the 60s Scoop, where Child Protective Services, government organizations, went into indigenous communities and stole children. Just like wholesale, stole children. Oh, these communities are not taking good care of them. They'd be so much better with nice white parents. And it's called the 60 Scoop, and it's terrible. It's like, we have our whole history with indigenous residential quote-unquote schools. They were like penitentiaries for children, where children were abused, murdered, raped, buried in unmarked graves. Like, this is what Canada did to indigenous children in the late 1800s into the mid 1900s. But the last, damn it, I should know this. The last residential school in Canada closed, I think, in the 80s or possibly the 90s.
That's pretty.
These are these schools where children were being like indoctrinated and abused. But in addition to that, there was also the 60s Scoop, where they went into indigenous communities, took children away. They basically found any way they could to remove these children from their families, because the belief was that they couldn't raise these children. And then even like, oh God, what was the other thing? The last thing that we've been doing, I think as recently as 5 to 10 years ago, there used to be this practice in hospitals where hospital staff could give an alert to Child Protective Services if a pregnant Indigenous woman came in.
Wow.
And they could they would notify Child Protective Services as soon as the baby was born.
I had no idea that Canada had so much.
Canada is trash in their relationship with Indigenous people.
I had no idea.
There are Indigenous people in communities right now in Canada that do not have clean drinking water. They have not had clean drinking water for like 5-10 years, and our government does nothing about it.
So,
sorry, this pisses me off.
Okay, I agree. That's horrible. Oh wait, real quick, your chat's messed up. Needs to scroll
what's
down.
The deal? It won't. I can't see anything above I'm not David.
Okay.
Maybe we should pop it back in, pop it back out. Let's see what happens. Restore chat.
So you are talking
now I don't
to
see anything.
People in America who have done really, really terrible things and still do pretty terrible things to their Indigenous population. But
all these colonial countries are shit with Indigenous populations.
Our government won't even fix waters for large population centers that are under their government.
That are full of white
call in Elon Musk to do it, right?
Yeah.
Flint still doesn't have clean drinking water.
Why is the chat so broken?
I think it's a sign.
Of what?
I
should take the chat out?
To get rid of it. We're gonna we'll have this conversation now. So I was going through.
Well, people have told me they like having it here, but I don't really love it here.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I think it takes up a lot of like very valuable like real estate on the screen that we could use for more footage or what have you. Because I was going through, because I understand why people say that like they like having it there because they can't see it.
I don't. When they're watching. Can you explain it to me?
So the arguments.
Pull it up.
These are the arguments that you have told me from other people previously, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
So they have told you that they have a hard time. They can't find it if they're watching a replay. But I looked into it, and it's because they're watching on their phones. But if you're watching on your desktop, you can see the live replay of the chat.
Yeah, I've seen it on desktop.
So
I get that not everyone watches this on their desktop, and like I watch when I watch stuff, I tend to watch it on my phone, so I get that.
Yeah. So, and then another thing with that is that we also typically cover most of the comments in chat if they're relevant towards like what's going on.
True, we do read them out.
So I think that's like two like pretty big strikes saying like, hey, do we really need to have this on the stream? Because we're kind of like ticked off on like a bunch of different boxes.
So I'm gonna make a call out right here. If there's anyone who's watching the recording of this, not live, and you've stuck with us through all the conversation about I don't know, masculinity, baldness, family, nothing about the hobby. If you're still here, thank you for hanging around. Please leave a comment on this video right now, the recording of this video, and let us know what you think about having the random live chat box up on the screen on the right hand side there. Does it add anything to the video for you? Do you not really care? Do you wish that it is there? Would you rather it not be there and it shows more of us maybe doing some hobby stuff? Let us know in the chat, please, for folks who are watching the recording of this, because I really want to hear.
Also, like and subscribe.
Oh yeah.
Yes, thank you, Will.
Hit that bell.
Please like and subscribe.
Look at that seamless
if you're watching
transition
this,
there.
and you're enjoying it, I promise that on other streams we talk about the hobby a whole lot more. But yeah, we also talk about this stuff though, and I think this stuff is important. So yeah, if you're liking it and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. We do streams every week on Wednesdays or Fridays, alternating. And yeah, also I mean to produce more videos, and I'm hoping that I can get some help with that soon. We're gonna see. But I do videos on sculpting, Tyranid stuff. I've got another Tyranid stuff video in the hopper right now. I don't know if I think I mentioned this before, but I had a conversation with our dear friend Tyranid David Attenborough, Bargeist, about the history of the Carnifex, and we did a deep dive on that. It's a very long video, but that's going to be coming out soon, and I'm hoping that that's going to be the rebirth of something for my blog. If anyone who followed the blog back in the day remembers, I used to have a series of articles on there called the Tyranid Archive, which went through like older generation Tyranid models, and I'd love to bring that back in a video format. So this might be the first installment of the Tyranid Archive, focusing just on the Carnifex.
Oh, cool. I still need to send you all the pictures and information about the unreleased Tyranid stuff that I've got.
Yeah, we got to turn that into something.
Oh,
people in the chat, tell me what kind of videos you want to see. Do you want to see more Tyranid stuff? Do you want to see more sculpting stuff? Give me some input, because I was wondering today.
Speaking of chat, segue.
Go ahead.
So Tom Wilson came in and gave us a lot of very interesting information. Blitz said that they visited a residential school in Cape Crocker. Please tell us more about that, Blitz. Tom Wilson said that the choice about having children was made for them, and that they do want to have. I'm not sure if they feel super comfortable with me reading this, but you know, they opened up to us about that, and then they gave us some information about how the UK deported working class children and adopted them out to Australia and told parents that they had died.
Wow.
Dude, one of those is my relatives. Ooh. On my dad's side, I can never remember the exact story, but there was a girl who was stolen to Australia. She was like my great grandma or my great aunt, or I don't know how she was related, but somewhere in my line there is a kid abducted from the UK to Australia.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh, real quick, since we mentioned Elon Musk, I just wanted to express how happy I am that Louise got her Instagram back.
Oh man, I got so confused when that post went up.
So some people messaged me and they were like, "What the hell? I can't believe she's gone like this." I'm like, "No, okay, guys. If someone you know posts something that feels really weird, you need to assume it was a hack. Yeah. Don't assume they've gone crypto bro on you. Like, especially Louise, like Savage Orc guy, she's pretty twee. Like, she is as uncrypto bro as anyone I've ever seen. Yeah. So, like, just take a moment, take a breath, and be like, wait a second, this doesn't feel right. And it's probably a hack.
Plus, she changed her username when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
She did?
Yeah, it was like
still Savage Orc guy for a while.
Savage Orc guy Y_Y/001 or something.
Weird. Why?
She like I think they were trying to like steal her username or whatever.
Oh, her actual username.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting ploy. You get the account, you change the account's name to something else, and then you steal the real account name.
Yep.
Or you create a new account. Whoa, that's some sketchy hacking right there.
That's really good phishing tactics.
Yep.
Yeah, because then you have it, and you have it on your own phone number, on your own thing.
Yep.
Oh, geez, that's rough.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
Mr.
glad
Pink, you got it figured out so quickly.
Yeah.
Can you give me the ability to post links in chat?
Oh heck yeah!
I wanted to post
a comment. Oh
Big
wait, no,
Boss
maybe I can
Red
find you.
Skull's Tyranids for everyone to see earlier.
Can you just post a comment that says "Yo guy" without a link in it, so I can, because my chat is broken. But if you post that, I'll see you.
Okay. What else?
Oh, what else? I wanted to note that if you're here, you're in the right place, because Instagram Meta is I posted about this in my stories. They are managing moderator. Boom, all the power. Meta is blocking news in Canada. It's a stupid thing that they're doing in response to a stupid thing my government did. It's a lot of stupid things all around, but long story short, it freaks me out that Meta or Google can just like cut off. I still haven't figured out how I'm gonna get back at Google for this, but Meta or Google can just cut off news for an entire country. It's really chilling, and it feels like 1984 to me. Though this didn't actually happen in Australia, Meta threatened to do this in Australia. And people in Australia have explained to me that like that's because I think, is it Rupert Murdoch? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wanted to make a shitload of money, and he was trying to like, he was getting the government like in his corner kind of thing. So I get that like it didn't actually happen in Australia, and it might have happened for weird reasons. But regardless of like how it happens, what we've seen from this is that Meta is happy to use like what I think is the nuclear option in terms of information, cutting off countries from information that people want and need, and they'll do it casually instead of having to share any part of their billions in advertising revenue with folks who create content.
I mean,
I'm not saying that the Canadian government is doing it right. I think it's weird, and I've heard like a lot of stories about like even like news companies being like, Canadian government, you're not doing this right. We want you to do this differently. But I just the only thing I can do is not give my eyeballs to Meta. So I think I'm not going to be on Instagram as much these days, and but I will be on YouTube.
Nice.
So you guys are all in the right place, and I'm gonna try to post more on my Patreon and on I guess Reddit or something.
Tumblr.
I'm available in Discord. Tumblr. I have a Tumblr.
Reddit.
I have a Tumblr. There's a Modern Synthesis Tumblr right there.
Reddit is also not the place to be posting stuff up these days, just because.
Yeah, they're doing some shitty shit right now, but I don't know. I don't know what to do, man. I don't know what to do.
Social media is inherently evil.
So the thing is that like I like what we've established on Instagram, and it really it kills me. Like if I didn't like the community that has grown up around like hobby on Instagram, I would delete my Instagram in a second. Like what I was saying is when Meta did this to Australia, I deleted my Facebook, like my personal Facebook. I just ditched it. Stopped using WhatsApp, stopped using Messenger, switched over to Signal, because I thought it was crap. And I wish I could do that for Instagram, but it's got its claws in too deep. That I really like that it's a visual medium where like people share their models. I think that's great, but I think I need to feel like I have some kind of control, even though I have no control. I need the illusion of control. So I'm gonna get that illusion by spending less time on the platform.
Honestly, Tumblr was a great platform for stuff like this, and it's unfortunate.
Yes. And what's wild is it all came down to pornography.
It did.
It did. People wanted their porn and they wouldn't give it to them. And they were like, okay, see you later.
And then they brought the porn back, but nobody cares anymore.
Did they? Because I was looking into it because I think like, they did. I was like, what happened to Tumblr? Because I mean, okay, no, I know what happened to Tumblr. And like I looked into the reason like why there was the porn blocking, and everyone like blamed Yahoo. It was Apple. Apple said they cannot have they cannot have the Tumblr app on the iOS platform because of the pornography.
No, oh my God. So what happened was apparently there were people posting child pornography on Tumblr, and Apple found out about that, and that it wasn't normal pornography that they banned Tumblr for. They banned it because allegedly the platform was supporting people posting child pornography, and they did not feel that
supporting in brackets, supporting in quotation marks.
What was really happening was users were posting child pornography on Tumblr. Apple did not feel that Tumblr's representatives and moderators were taking enough efforts towards like moderating it and removing it. So basically Tumblr went nuclear and was like, "We're gonna create
Okay, no
this
porn anywhere.
incredibly stupid algorithm for detecting pornography on our site. We're just going to remove all porn." The worst part about it, though, was not even that it removed all porn from the site. Their
No, it removed
algorithm was
unporn.
so fucking shitty that completely innocent posts were being flagged and removed, and people were getting banned for it.
Yeah, like a xenomorph that would probably register as porn.
Exactly.
That's pretty phallic.
And it was,
Sometimes there's even sex posts.
and it was pretty bad. Like it was even to the point that it's worse than Instagram. Like you couldn't even post artistic nudity. Like it was complete nuclear. Like everything has to be PG-13.
Yeah.
You get to use the word fuck once, but in the non-sexual context.
What?
Yeah.
He's
Are you joking?
He's joking PG-13 film ratings because you can use the word fuck once in a PG-13 film in a non-sexual context.
Yep.
To keep the PG-13
rating. Shit.
Yep, that's true.
Oh man, I didn't know that. Wow.
It's a perpetual kind of joke for older PG-13 movies where it's just like, wait, they never got to use their F-bomb. Where would you put it in this like thing?
Yeah.
My favorite was for Revenge of the Sith.
They put it in there?
No, they were saying like, where would you put this in Revenge of the Sith? And everyone was like, Mustafar. It would be on Mustafar.
Obi-Wan, you fucking asshole.
I have the higher ground, Anakin. Oh man,
it's a pretty.
I got some buds on Instagram who send me like the weirdest memes, just like fun stuff. And someone sent me this meme of this guy who bought like a $400 lightsaber and was like doing like Star Wars quotes with his girlfriend.
Oh yeah, that one.
When she's like, "How much did that cost you?" And he goes, 400 credits. He's like standing on the stairs. He's like, "I have the higher ground, Anakin." She's like, "Stop it."
Oh man, we stopped talking about masculinity and other very sensitive topics, and then switched to talking about social media, and the viewer count went down a lot.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
That checks out.
Yeah.
Oh look.
Well, I thought it's gonna pop back up now that we're talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, so we just gotta start talking about buzzwords.
I hate talking about Star Wars.
I like talking about the old films and the books before they changed the canon, and I stopped caring about the books. But I did want to say something at the beginning of the stream, but I had a mouthful of food and never got a chance. So Mr. Pink was disparaging his Instagram stream, but there was a lot of very good information throughout that stream. It was just like every once in a while he'd just be like, "Oh yeah, here's just this really great tip," and some of them, you know, it's worth watching, and some of them might go out as clips or whatever.
Yes, because Dwarfenage very dutifully went through and clipped a bunch of useful stuff from it, which I really appreciate. So I got to figure out how to get that out. I was thinking of putting it up as shorts on YouTube because fuck Instagram right now.
Yeah.
But
I think they'd probably have a better. Well, you do have a really good Instagram reach, but they might have a better reach on YouTube. That's the only.
I don't like honestly. I have 12,000 followers on Instagram, but like Instagram doesn't make me a cent, and like all that money goes straight into like Meta's pockets. And like I'm not here for the cash, but it is the case that the only money, well, like very generous Patreon people aside, the only money that I've ever made like on one of my social media platforms is on YouTube. So, and like I want to grow my YouTube because like I like having these like streams with folks, and I think it's really cool. So I'd much rather post videos on my YouTube than on my Instagram. That's for sure.
Just like the only problem with, like, we can get into like social media management stuff. Like the only problem with like growing a platform is you have to be on like every social media. Like you could even start making TikToks and then just explode your platform.
No, I'm not gonna make TikToks. I'm not gonna do that.
They're basically
I have a very particular view of TikTok, and I think that people who are successful, because like I'm supposed to be kind of a social media professional in my real life. The people who are successful on TikTok are people who have like they become like the identity of it, and like they're the face of it. Like I haven't looked as much into hobby TikTok, so I'm sure you could do like hobby stuff without like having to be the face of it. But I don't know. I feel like Sculptron 9000 could have a TikTok, but that's like a different thing. I don't know. I don't know if I can. I very much I think people go onto TikTok and they're like, I'm just gonna post the same shit I post everywhere else, and I don't know that that's the way to do TikTok.
I think Sculptron 9000 is more Instagram type videos.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't really know how well it would go over on like TikTok. Yeah. I will say like my problem with TikTok, because I spent like a good while on it, but I have ADHD, and it ended up I was spending too much time
eating your life
on my phone, like watching TikTok instead of like doing anything productive. So I had to delete it because it was just constantly a constant distraction. But there were a couple of very good artist TikToks that I followed that were super interesting. Where like a lot of times they could just go and be like, yeah, this is my build. And like some of them were like, this is like,
are these hobby artists or these other artists?
They weren't necessarily like Warhammer hobby, because I wasn't really like looking for Warhammer hobby on TikTok.
Or wait.
But they were like one of them was they made doll houses.
Oh, cool.
But they made doll houses where the house was owned by a hoarder, which was really interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, they were awesome. My sister got me into them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was hooked. And there was this other girl, I think she was actually in Toronto, and she did some very cool like miniature stuff. She made like a functioning superliminal DVD store where like you could go in, you could look, and you could see like all of the DVDs, and they're like actual DVD covers. But it was
she
on like,
might have had a exhibit at a local art gallery. I think Miniature Spencer might have been posting about her.
Very likely. She really blew up, and her stuff was really interesting. But that's like the kind of stuff you can see on TikTok. And they did make like longer form videos like before I left. So I do feel like you could make very similar content to that you're making on YouTube, and the content that you like to make. Just like TikTok, like the ones that do well are obviously like just hyper polished, but it's the same with like YouTube. And I do think that a lot of your content would go over very well on TikTok, and that's kind of where like a lot of like people are, especially young hobbyists, are. Like I'm in that other Kroot group, and I see a lot of people like talking about like hobby TikTok. And then like some of the stuff I see is like really lowbrow content, and I'm like, you know what, you could clip these like really good videos, because a lot of another thing that's wrong with TikTok is a lot of people make a living on reposting content from YouTube that they don't own.
Yep.
So you very well could be on TikTok and not know it.
Oh, dang. Okay.
So that's like another problem.
Didn't think about that.
Interesting.
Okay.
Well, this has been quite the hobby stream.
Yeah, I think we should probably call it soon. Although, as I'm trying to like cram this putty on here, but it's dying. I need a. Do I have a base to fill? I think I had a base to fill. I don't.
Oh, so pretty cool little model here. That I carved up into, chopped his head off, or one of his 3 heads off. This is the Night Maw. It's a out of production Warhammer fantasy model.
Oh, that chaos demon thing.
Yeah.
I love that dude.
This head I thought looked really cool. It's like kind of an eyeless, almost skull head.
Oh. Yeah.
This is gonna be the head for this weird walking psychic Tyranid monstrosity.
He's beautiful.
Yes, he's a pretty little boy.
Sweet.
So something like this. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, fingers in the way. Something like that. I don't know.
That speaks to me.
I can't decide if I want to remove the halo or not. I think I might. I feel like the halo just doesn't really work for me in this context, because it's not really a.
Hey, I removed it on mine.
Oh no, I'll use it for something. I just don't think I want to use it on this particular model. I think I'll probably.
I guess it depends on the body, because I feel like just floating with that head, it looks really cool. That could honestly be a model on its own. Just like that head floating with the body, and then maybe like a little bit of like something like an angel, like a demonic angel.
So he's gonna be walking. So he's gonna have these Carnifex legs. I posted a pic on the it's kind of hard for me to angle it because I don't have the pieces glued together, but it's gonna kind of be like almost like the third edition Carnifex silhouette, where it's got like the big like football shoulder pads.
Yeah.
And like I kind of want him to look like a juggernaut, big and beefy. Maybe lore wise, perhaps a precursor to the Red Dragon.
Ooh.
Ew. That's cool. As I work on its base, as I use its bases for my putty filler.
Actually, another hobbyist who did something thematically similar with his Tyranids. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Empyrean on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
He's awesome. I love the work he's been doing with his Tyranids. The Psychophage he did, or not Psychophage. Was it the Psychophage? I think. Or was it a Neurotyrant? No, it was a Neurotyrant that he did recently. It was really cool that he made from the Malanthrope body, and then he used these really weird things for the psychic drones on the side. But his lore for his Tyranids is much the same kind of concept, where like essentially progressive evolution of the populace has led to them taking on more familiar Tyranid forms over the course of generations of these gene stealer infestations being in this this imperial world.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
I gotta call it. I just had a visit from Nora in the window of my
Ooh.
studio being like, hey, what's going on? And I realized how late it is. Holy toot. I didn't realize it's 10 p.m. Dang.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Friends, this has been fun. This has definitely been fun. I'm glad we talked about real life stuff. That makes me happy. Thank you to everyone who stuck around and watched us talk, or watched and listened and participated in the talks about real life stuff. I basically just did filler work. I filled in the tentacles on my Von Ryan's Leaper so I could paint it. I'm still not 100% satisfied with them, but I'm just gonna have to leave them because it's done. I filled in the details around the barrel addition on the bottom of the gun for my Barb Gaunts, otherwise known as DarthBob's favorite. So he can get painted now. And I filled in all the putty on my Winged Prime, which has been sitting here doing nothing for far too long. So, oh shit, there's a hole there. Damn it! I didn't know there was a hole there. Can I steal some putty from somewhere? Is it still malleable enough? I don't know. So hopefully he can get painted soon. So I'd say that was productive, but I'm also glad that we had some productive conversations. Thanks to everyone for not being shy or scared about having tough talks about important stuff, because I think like I show, like I show on my Instagram, I think it's important that in the hobby we have important talks about important stuff that isn't always hobby related, because otherwise how are people gonna talk about it and hear about it and think about it?
Yeah.
So if you're only here for the hobby, I get it. We'll talk more hobby stuff next time, but hopefully you've got an open mind to hobby and life stuff.
For sure.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think overgeneralization, but I don't think anyone that's a regular participant in the live streams is against the real life tough talks, because that's kind of
I think I've probably
a big
scared
thing
all
in
those
the
people off
community.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that makes me happy, because I think that it's important for us to be able to talk about all sides of life and hobby and stuff. And I like people being comfortable sharing real life stuff in whatever communities I'm involved in. So hopefully that's clear to folks. And I'm going to stop working on this before I destroy it.
Sculptor's curse.
Dwarfenage, thank you for joining us this episode. We're really happy to have you here.
Happy to be here. Before we go,
right,
Tom Wilson and
yeah.
Diane wanted to say thank you. Their stickers just arrived.
Sweet. Happy to hear it. Apparently Mother Reaper, who's sometimes on the stream, apparently I sent her a bunch of other stickers, but not the Hot Bug Summer sticker because I got excited about packing her envelope. So sorry about that. If there's any other patrons who got a envelope with me with a bunch of stickers, but not the Hot Bug Summer sticker, let me know. And if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about this sexy number right here. So this is a sticker that I created to celebrate the release of Leviathan, the upcoming Tyranids in the fall, and I'm giving it out to my patrons on Patreon. You can sponsor me on Patreon for whatever you want. I don't have any tiers, so I think the minimum on Patreon is like $1 or something like that. And anyone who becomes one of my patrons will get one of these stickers. So here's the link to Patreon in the chat if you want to get on that bandwagon. But as you see, Tom and Diana are on that bandwagon, so they already got their stickers. And yeah, it was just something fun that I wanted to do, and I was like, how do I get this out to people? I'm like, it's a good way to thank people who lend me $1 or $2 on Patreon. So thank you to all my supporters. And if you want one, head over there to, it's just Modern Synthesist on Patreon, patreon.com/Modern Synthesist. And since I'm not going to be on Instagram as much, I think I might post on there more. I'll probably just post some like public posts as well, not just for patrons. So you can look forward to that. Anyway, yeah, Hot Bug Summer. Glad you got your stickers. DarthBob, thanks for joining us this week. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
sharing your hobby with us, sharing your thoughts with us.
Yeah, I was glad to be back. It's been a while. It's been almost a month, I think.
It has, yeah. Will, thank you. TacticalDbag.
Yeah, always glad to be here.
Well, we're always glad to have you. And thank you to all the folks in the chat for joining up. We're happy to have you folks. And we will see you next time. Probably next Friday for the Creature Conference. Any final thoughts, co-host folks?
It's been a great stream, guys. Thanks, chat, for chiming in. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Don't use Vaseline. Use Nivea.
Yeah.
Damn right. The blue box.
Yep.
It'll get you done.
I had some random YouTube diorama video pop up, and this guy was doing green stuff. He wasn't like doing armature wire or anything. He was using it to connect joints, and I like instantly had to stop watching and was like, "Dude, Nivea." Yeah. And then also I was watching that guy that I posted on the Discord where I was like really hyped about his hobby office build, and then he was just doing a bunch of OSHA violations, and I got physically repulsed and had to stop watching and start having a panic attack.
Oh no. All right, friends. Thank you so much. We'll talk again soon, and see you next time.